I'm Chuck Chvala, former Senate Majority Leader.
And I'm Scott Jensen, former Assembly Speaker.
And we're the Insiders. So, Scott, there was a big special election up in the 7th Congressional District, the former Dave Obey seat from many years ago. And there was pretty overwhelming victory for the Republican up there. What's your take? What's the implication going forward?
Well, no big surprise here. Tom Tiffany won the district handily. He won it by 14.5 percentage points. This is a solid, safe Republican district. Congratulations to Tom on becoming a congressman. This is also a district that Donald Trump took by about 20 percentage points in 2016. So both very large wins in this seat. And I think that's what we're going to see in the fall in this district as well. I think the president will continue to do well here. Large double-digit win over Biden in a seat like this. I think it also shows us that we can conduct safely an election still during while we were still under the governor's order and still under the coronavirus situation. They conducted the election safely. The count was quick. Lots of people voted, and I think that's what we're going to see in the fall as well.
There are several implications from this race. Scott has touched on a few of them. One thing to look at is that the margin for Tiffany was not as large as for President Trump, as Scott pointed out. Just that 3% difference there. If that were to hold up in the fall, that's enough that Trump would lose in Wisconsin if that were to carry through the rest of the state. And by the way, I would say this is probably the most Donald Trumpish district in the state, and the one district that would be moving more toward Trump. If any district is in the state, this would be the one. So I don't think the numbers that the Republicans saw here were good. The one thing that they did see, though, it was interesting. You had this April primary, and there was actually about 1% more higher turnout in this district in this special election than there was in that when there was in that primary. That's an interesting result. I don't think there's anything in terms of good news here for the Republican Party going forward. I think the one piece of news that's pretty clear from this, unfortunately, is that it doesn't look good for the chances for a Democrat in the fall in this seat, unless there's a cratering of Trump, which I think most people are not expecting. But I do think that if you were to look at the granular level here, there is a slight weakening in terms of the overall percentage received by the Republican, and that could mean that perhaps Donald Trump is weakening a little bit even there in Wisconsin, and that would be terrible news for Republicans, because if there's one seat in the whole congressional delegation where they ought to be doing better right now in Wisconsin, it's that seat.
I think there's always a temptation to overread the results of a special election and to try to then extrapolate it to other things. This is a safe Republican seat. The Republican won by a large margin. I think that's what's going to happen in the fall in this district as well. Tom Tiffany will be reelected to Congress, and Donald Trump will carry it by a large number.
I think that probably Scott is correct, but if you're going to see anything in these numbers, it would be what I'm saying here. It was not an overwhelming night for Republicans. They'd like to see that seat trending a little bit more Republican than it was, but it is a special election, and special elections are very hard to read as to what implication they may have for general. I think Scott's right about that.
We'll let the Democrats have the moral victory, and we'll just take the congressional seat on our side.
Okay.
See you next week.